Hey, OneLife, this last Sunday we started a sermon series entitled, "This is How We Do It." We believe that Jesus is the author of life, that Jesus gives us life, and it's our job to receive life from Him. And we do that moment by moment. Last week we talked about the importance of communing with God in order that we experience life in Him. And one of the practices that I encouraged us to was to practice the presence of God. Now, that might sound mystical, or it might sound that it's only appropriate for the super spiritual Christians. But I truly believe that we as a community need to get good at being aware of God's presence moment by moment, in a way that we could experience real life in Him. So I want to take us through an exercise in this moment, and I want to encourage you to push pause, don't watch this any further, until you're in a quiet place, free from distraction, maybe sitting in a comfortable chair, maybe having your hands open in a posture of receiving, and take 3 to 5 minutes. If you're married, talk to your spouse and say, okay, put all the kids in a room, you watch them, give me 10 minutes, and engage in this exercise. So I'm going to pray, and then I'm going to guide you through a few moments of just intentionally becoming aware of God's presence. Just now, allow your mind to be free from distractions, and allow yourself to become aware of God's presence. God is present before us. Let us be present before Him. God, and we ask that in these few moments that we would sense your presence and become aware that you're near, that your love is being poured into our hearts. Begin by reminding yourself that the only thing that is real in this moment, and the only thing that ultimately matters, is that you are submerged in God's love right now. Remain mindful of the fact that the perfect love that God expressed by becoming a human and dying on the cross to redeem you engulfs you right now. Remind yourself that you cannot be more loved than you are in this moment. You cannot have more worth than you have in this moment. Your life could not be more significant than it is at this moment. Remain mindful of the truth that this is not because of anything that you have achieved or ever will achieve in your life. It is because of who God is and who you are as defined by Calvary. Remind yourself that this perfect love never began, never ends, is never threatened, and never wavers. As you breathe your next breath, let it represent your decision to breathe in God's loving presence and all these truths associated with it. As you breathe in God's love, exhale everything else. Because God loves you, trust if there's anything that you truly need, that God will give it to you as Jesus taught us. Exhale all your possessions, all your achievements, reputation, future aspirations, health and beauty and relationships and anything else that could possibly be a false source of worth and significance to you. As you relax in the sufficiency of God's presence, see all these potential idols evaporate in the light of God's ever-present love. Like a morning mist disappearing with the first rays of the rising sun. Now, while continuing to remain aware of God's presence, notice what happened to whatever anxiety you have had. If you are truly present, breathing in God's love and excelling everything else, you will find that your anxiety and worry and fear has disappeared. If you are truly present, it cannot help but disappear, just as it cannot help but reappear if you once again begin to cling to idols and get pulled out of this present moment. For as we've seen, our fear and dread are directly associated with our pursuit of idols, and therefore being pulled out of this present into the past or future. To relinquish the idols and remain in the presence of God. Surrender to God's ever-present love. God, we surrender now to you. God, help us to not fear the future or regret the past, but let us be present to you right now, aware that your love is continually being poured out. That as you fill us with your presence, joy and hope and meaning fills our soul. God, thank you that you're faithful, that you're near, that you love us, and you're not far.